Yes, you're listening to Business Podcasting Made Easy, the TV talk show formula where you get a roadmap to elevate your authority and expand your visibility with a TV talk show that you're proud of on the IBGR network. And yes, this is live. Episode 39, Hosting with Confidence, Building Rapport and Connection with Your Guests. I'm Donna Kunde, co-founder of the IBGR Network, Global Radio Authority, and podcast expert, and producer of more than 14,000 podcasts.
And I'm Declan Oceguera, TV producer and international TV talk show host. My TV talk show formula has impacted over 100,000 lives globally and gives business owners and entrepreneurs a simple way to be seen and heard with their own purpose-driven message. And we are your hosts for this 13-week journey. Remember, you can easily follow the plan at tvtalkshowformula.com. And if you want direct live support from us for your TV talk show, contact us today at tvtalkshowformula.info. We're standing by.
Yes, we really are. It's a purpose, it's a passion, and this is what you're put on this earth to do, amplify voices. And it's so I think it's so cool that you have the same thing. Like, what are the odds?
What are the odds? What are the odds?
Here we are. Terry Gross is going to kick this one off. Well, actually, I will with Terry Gross. And the hook is the quote: "The key to being a good interviewer is listening. It's about being prepared, but also being open to following the conversation where it leads." And I think, Declan, you are a master at this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
How do you do it? Like, why is it important? Tell us everything you know. Pick brains. Pick.
Pick brains. Yeah, actually, it's true. It is, I would say it's one of my superpowers is listening. That's great. I'm not just listening with my ears, obviously, that's happening through them, but I'm also really, because what we were talking about in the previous episode about the 3 C's and the grounding and being present, when I'm not in my head worried about what's coming next, right? Because we've done all the work and we have the checklists and we have the run times for our segments, we know what's supposed to happen. It gives me the space to just really be with the guest, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm very much also reading energy, right? And this is a nuanced skill, and you have the same ability that really does come from having a lot of conversations, right? And perhaps our coaching background, helps with this, but everyone can develop this. It's not just for some people. It's just really a matter of, do you want to become a great listener? And so I'm noticing what lights up the guest speaking, right? They may say something that I can tell is very important to them, and it might trigger something in my thinking. So I'm also working with intuition quite a bit to take myself into their world and then know when it's time for a question that I hadn't pre-thought before.
Yeah, and I just want to say this is so important, because what you're saying is you're mastering the art of the interview process. It's common hosting skills, and it might sound like, oh, intuition, oh, reading somebody, oh, how do I do that? It's a skill, right?
Yeah. It really does come from practice, and this is why we're so excited for you, our audience here, because as soon as you start jumping into doing this more consistently, this skill will get better and better for you. There's another way that you get good at this too, but we're going to talk about that in the next episode. But for you as a host, a little seeding there for the next episode. But you as the host, it's just you being really present and also releasing your own agenda, right? Now, you've done some research, likely, because this is how we're showing you. You might have some initial questions that you want to ask, and they're usually obvious questions, right? Because you've done some research, some things. But when you're listening to the responses, it's going to stimulate some other curiosity. So I think it boils down to you as the host. What makes a great host is a host who's very curious.
Yes.
About the guest. And the only reason you have that guest on your show is because what they do and who they are is aligned with what your message is, and it complements or accrues to your message for the benefit of your audience, right? So when I have a guest on, they're not there by accident. They're there because I know that there's a reason, there's something that they're going to say that's going to be of benefit to me, but really to my audience. And so I want to dig. So it's kind of like digging for gold, right? And curiosity is really, to me, the key to that is, oh, I wonder, why is that? Asking questions, follow-up questions, not just the next question you had on your list, but take the conversation into a deeper level by going down into their answers versus, okay, thanks for that answer. Next question from
Yeah.
your list. Like
Stepping
bad.
aside from yourself. Yep.
Yeah.
And just really, I love that, getting curious, getting them to participate and you asking that next question. That's yes.
Yes.
And more you want to say?
Yes. Well, so this was more like, I don't know how do you might have the words for this. It's a very nuanced thing that we're talking about, right? It's hard to, you can't read this in a textbook, and you have to do that. You have to do it and be curious about learning how to be good as being a host.
Yeah.
Right. It's really a learned skill, and anyone can learn it. You just have to want to, right? And we
But I'm
suppose
gonna
that.
say, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, from the last episode, really creating the show segments and getting those pieces in place so that you don't have to be thinking about, oh gosh, what do I do next? What do I do next? What you can be fully present in that moment.
Yeah. Well, and here's another side of being a host. Sometimes deep sigh. Sometimes
Oh,
you no, it's not bad.
okay.
Well, it can be. It can be if you don't handle it correctly. Sometimes you have a guest on who, let's say on paper, all points indicate that, wow, this is going to be a great conversation. And then they get on and it's a total dud. You know, they're just like, wah, wah.
Well, and
And
I had one of my hosts who said they did that, and it was the same thing on paper, and it turned in, he's like, all he did was sell. He just sell, and there was no conversation. Yep.
yeah, so this can happen, and be prepared for it, especially early on. It is when it happens, usually more because you're new, you're fresh at all of this. Maybe you don't know how to navigate it yet. You learn real quick. If you're being aware, right? This is where the 3 C's come into play again. But sometimes it's because the guest is just they're not used to being a guest. They're not seasoned in that role. They're too nervous. They're in their head. They're not grounded, right? And what do you do then? And so you have to be able to navigate that and bring them into a place where they kind of come out of that shell.
Mm-hmm.
And it has everything to do with the questions you start asking them, because there's actually, to me, that's the worst thing that will happen on a show, is when there's that dead, that like boring energy. I'd rather the Wi-Fi cut out than my computer melts down than that scenario, because it can be very uncomfortable. But it's good when and if it happens, because you're going to learn very quickly how to navigate that. And even with all the preparation, and you've prepared your guests, this is with the assumption that you've done all the things that we're going to be teaching you in these segments coming up, these episodes coming up. You do all this work and it still ends up a dud, well, you've done your part. But if you don't do all that pre-work, then there's reasons why people can show up as a dud. But these are all parts of the process. And so this gets back to a different part of hosting, where so far we've only talked about like interviewing nuanced skills, but you're also the producer of your show as the host in the beginning, right? And down the road, you can hire people to outsource the production, which is a beautiful thing. If you want to continue, down a particular theme for your show and you want to keep going, right? It's a good idea down the road, but in the beginning, you're doing this yourself. So you're the video producer, right? You're managing the timing. You're aware of your audience. You may be navigating questions that are coming into the chat, right? Or into the comments on Facebook or LinkedIn, right? Or YouTube, right? So there's all these points of connection, and you're looking into camera, talking to your guest at the same time, right? So how do you do all of that? How do you do all that? Well, I can't keep enough saying the 3 C's are your friend for this, right? Having all this planning, that all the things we've been showing you to do, and some more things that are coming that we're going to give you to set yourself up. Doing all that pre-work is what gives you, like Donna said a minute ago, that space to just be in the mix, because it's so fun. For me, I get very excited. I'm like, oh, there's this comment. Oh, the guest just said this. Oh, what's happening over here? Or why is this not working? Like all this stuff's happening and you're smiling. To me, it's a thrill.
Yep. It is. It is. And I'd say, you know, like as you're doing your research, it's okay to write some questions down. You know, you're talking about
Yes,
being intuitive, being in the moment, just letting things
absolutely.
flow. And I'm going to also be the one, not that I'm still that non-recovering perfectionist, but I'm still going to write some questions down. I'm going to make
Yes.
sure that I phonetically pronounce the guest name if I don't know it, because you know, that's the one thing that the sweetest sound that anyone hears is the
Yeah.
pronunciation of their name.
I do that before we go live. That's part of the pre-guest checklist. Pre-show guest checklist is I'll say, how do you say your name? Even if it looks like I think I know how to say it, I still have them say it, because they may pronounce it differently than it appears.
Weird emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So these are little touches, right?
Yeah.
So
Last minute, Declan, what do we want them to do?
well, you just said part of it. Yes, we want you to, before you have with your guest, you want to review their social media, whatever they have, to see what they've been talking about, what they do talk about, who they know, right?
Yeah.
Because these can come up and inform some of the questions that you're going to ask. So you're doing your research, right? And we'd like you to record a short interview. Pick a friend, someone very safe for you, right? Could be anyone. It could be a family member, a friend, colleague, someone safe that you can practice a mock interview with. So get on Zoom, get on Google Chat, or whatever, you know, you pick an outlet to do this on. WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, video, get on with a person and just do a mock interview, come up with a couple of questions for them, and just watch and notice what happens. And even though you know the person, you may still get a little nervous, but it's perfect because it's a safe place. It'll do you so much good to do this test run.
And we got to wrap. This one does not need to be broadcasted to your network. This is ending episode 39 with Donna and Declan. We'll be right back with lots to say.